It is time to podcast. We are doing some special for the next couple weeks here. We are tier ranking. Our last tier rank, we tier ranked every winner from Richard Hatch to remind me his name, Tony Vlachos. This time we are tier ranking every season, and instead of breaking it up into two parts like our winners tier rank, we are going to break it up into uh, four parts. So obviously we are going to, since there's 40 seasons, four parts. We're going to do 10 seasons per part. So this is part one. We are going from season one Borneo all the way up into season 10 Palau. I'm joined today by, of course, the other Survivor buff, Gideon, and a Survivor buff, Coach Drew. Um, Coach Drew is starting a rewatch of all 40 seasons, which you just did last year. So you're doing another one. Why are you doing another one?
You're insane.
I don't work again until August, so I might as well do something that'll kill the time. So
all right, what's the
Amazon
goal
right now? 40 seasons, 40 days, or as close to it as I can.
Wow.
Respect.
I'm gonna give you a clap in advance.
So I started on Amazon. Thank you.
Okay. So these will be fresh in your brain. So that's even more perfect.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So before we jump into it, Drew, do you want to give an announcement about what you got going on? Drew's got a special announcement for something going on this Sunday.
All right. So yeah, the first episode of Survivor Hot Takes premieres on Sunday. We're going to be discussing why Redemption Island isn't as bad of a season as people make it out to be. It's still, in the low 30s, but it's not as bad as it's portrayed, and I'm going to defend it. It'll be hard, but
I love you, Drew.
So every Sunday, Drew will be coming on for Survivor Hot Takes here on Reality Pop. Check it out. Make sure to subscribe. Be sure to tune in every Sunday so you can check those out. Leading up to season 41 and past season 41. See how far we can get with that. Should be a fun show. Me and Gideon will be on the first episode. We all have pretty different views. I think it's one of the worst seasons. Gideon,
I think it's amazing.
Thinks it's amazing for some reason. Jesus.
But I can't wait to talk about Marquesas with you then, Gideon, if you think Redemption Island's amazing.
Okay.
The highlight, just so everyone watching this knows, the highlight of this episode right here is going to be when we reach season 4 Marquesas, because we got some differing opinions.
Yes, we disagree greatly, but we'll get there.
But that's what makes good TV. So here is our rank. So we're not going to do all 40 tonight.
That would take way too long.
Yes, we're going to do all 40 over the course of this month, but tonight, every Thursday, so tune in on Thursdays. For this first episode, again, we are going from Borneo down to Palau. As you can see, we have, six tiers. So we got F, D, C, B, A, and S. How much when we did the tier rank, the winners, we came in saying, okay, we're only going to allow 4, and that caused a lot of controversy. A lot of comments were, how is he not S? How is he not S? It's
honestly, Adam, I think if it's S, it's S. Let's just do it.
I'm cool with that.
All right,
I'm cool with that. I mean, I don't want S to be crazy. Maybe we can limit it to more than 8 or 9, maybe, but nothing crazy.
I feel that's how much it's gonna be an S though. I feel like maybe 6 to 8 will be an S. I don't know.
Yes. Now, another thing too, before we start, is we are going to try, for everyone watching, we are going to try to base this on the season. And I'm talking about how good is the season? How emotionally invested are you in the season? How deserving is the winner? Was there stories? Was there good, idle play, advantage play, or just strategy from the old seasons? We're trying not to look too much into iconic status, because if we did that, the first 7 seasons would probably all be S or A, except maybe Thailand's. But there would definitely be some.
Agree. I look of concern when you said the first 7, but
Yeah. So we're trying to avoid icon status and
All
just
right.
look at the season. Um, so I mean, either way, Marquesas is an S. But let's start with number one. Let's start with Survivor Borneo. Anyone want to talk about it first? Because I
Borneo's
already know. I already know
Bor-
what I want to give Borneo, but
Borneo's iconic, and without it, I don't think we would have Survivor today. Obviously,
mhm.
I don't know. For me, I'm between an A and an S. Is that respectable? Because there's great characters. Obviously, the strategy is lacking, but honestly, I liked it even without the strategy and just the domination of Richard Hatch. But yeah, no, I mean, you have some of the greatest characters to ever grace the screen, and Rudy and Richard. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's either an S or an A. I'm interested to see where you guys stand.
Adam.
I see. I think it's an A or a B.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but definitely leaning more towards A.
Okay.
Um, yes, that is Gideon from TikTok. Um, we are yes, I think it's an A or B, leaning more towards A because
Okay.
if you're going by iconic status, it's an S. It's an S,
Of
hands
course. Of
down, an
course.
S.
And when you
It
said
had
like it because it's iconic, like we can't just base it off of how iconic it is. Like
mhm,
obviously, like that's what it made everyone fall in love with Survivor. As far
right.
as content, I'm okay with you putting it at an A.
Yeah, because great characters. I mean, Jervis, Jenna, even like
Jervis,
some of
yeah,
the even some of the like the
Greg,
pre-merge boots.
Greg.
Joel,
Greg.
Greg. Yes, there was great characters, great moments, and not just great moments in a sense that they're like iconic. I mean, actually great moments that if they happened in later seasons, they would also be great moments. The developing of strategy and a deserving winner. Maybe not the most like likable TV winner, but a deserving winner, absolutely.
Yeah,
I say A or B, but I'm actually like pretty firmly an A for me. And the reason why is it did have some because there wasn't, strategy hadn't been invented or was
yeah,
being invented in front of us. There are some moments like post merge, like the first episode or two or three post merge do start to drag a little bit. A lot of times people get voted out and you don't know why they were like next a couple times or like there wasn't
okay.
that much diving in. I don't know. There's a little bit of confusion. It dragged a little bit. But I'd say A. What are you thinking, Coach?
All right. So when I first watched it when I was 9, I thought it was the greatest season of anything that I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Mm,
And every subsequent rewatch, I still put it up there. Like I do a ranking every couple of years. I would
Mhm.
put it in A. If I was watching it with nostalgia glasses, it would absolutely be an S. I would say A
Mhm.
because, like you said, like I think because we're looking at it from a 2021 lens. First of all, there are certain problematic things that happen in it, but it like that are said. But also
Mhm.
just it does kind of drag a lot, and you know at the time the pagonging phrase wasn't made yet, but
Right.
going back and watching it and watching these people get picked off one by one, if this was Redemption Island, people would be shitting on it for lack of a better phrase, but
hmm Yeah.
because it is okay, yeah, that was what's supposed to happen. So yeah, I
Right.
would firmly put it in A, just taking off those glasses.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, in agreement.
All right. Um, okay. Yeah. So Borneo's our first one. It's at an A, which is good because I feel like Borneo is like the perfect A season. Like I feel like
Yeah.
Borneo is going to be the ultimate. Like if it's better than Borneo, it's an S. If it's not as good at Borneo, it's probably still an A. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's a good like
It's not a bad benchmark, I guess. Yeah.
benchmark. Yeah, like a standard bear, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Moving on, we got Survivor, the Australian Outback. As far as entertainment value, personally, I enjoyed it more. I was more engaged in what was happening overall. Like, not saying there wasn't things that were engaging me with Borneo, but for me, there was more with Australia. If I'm not mistaken, does Australia actually have the most returning players of any
Has
season?
8
And we got
people coming back from that season.
yeah. So
Insane.
are they all deserving?
I
Maybe
honestly, if you tell me one person who isn't deserving, it's probably the one who won Survivor All Stars.
well, yeah. I mean, or Kimmy.
Yeah, Kimmy's fair. But I mean, a lot of people.
If you look at it from like our eyes now, then you could put Scoopin and Varner on there too. But
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. Also, like it does have good characters, including those problematic ones. At the time, they were enjoyable because, like, I remember before everything about Scoopin came out, my dad was like, "Oh, like Scoopin was my favorite player on that season." And then I was like, "Well, fun fact, you know what happened to him?" And he was like, "Oh, never mind." But yeah, no, it definitely had. I think it had more better characters than Borneo. I'm torn though because I definitely think it's not an S.
I don't either.
I don't know
It's
where to put it. I agree. I'm A or B. Adam, can you break it? I don't know.
Well, here's what's tough. It also had a deserving winner. I know America probably wanted Colby to win more at the time, but Tina was a deserving winner.
I agree.
Still to this day, one of the best final twos as far as like it was the I can't think of a final two or a final three where there was both players were as deserving. I mean, Yule and Ozzy in Cook Islands, like there were ones. But it's funny that like already with season 2, we got like a great final 2 and so many great moments with the Campion washed away, the Jerry versus Colby rivalry, the moment where he who shall not be named fell in the fire. When everyone realized it's real.
Yeah, for sure.
Brings me back to what's
my finger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that great moment.
Yeah. But see, when I say it out loud, I feel like I'm putting it ahead of Borneo, but I can't.
Yeah,
I can't put it ahead of Borneo.
I honestly I don't see it ahead of Borneo.
If you need a big reason why, if you look at the finale, if you just watch the season finale of Australian Outback, it's like this is still going. Like, there's nothing that happens during that episode at all until you get to the end of the end of the episode, the final tribal.
Oh yeah, they're gassed.
I do think that it's very. I don't think that there was a dud in the. There wasn't really a dud in the cast, but there. The only reason I would say that it's either in the same as Borneo or slightly lower is because the end game was boring.
I agree.
As compared to Borneo, where like the end game, even though like it was, everyone knew what was happening, it was still fun because it never happened before.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's also crazy is they made so much money from Borneo, but it felt like their challenges like dipped. Like I remember watching Australian Outback and being like, "These are some lame challenges." Like remember the one where they each had questions to ask and then they would just take a step forward. I was like, "This is the best challenge."
The challenge because
also isn't that the season? Oh no, that was Africa. Carry on.
Well, they also started the one thing with the challenge with the pole on their backs with the buckets. That was the first season for that. So
I liked that. I did like that. But I also, the thing that makes it below Borneo for me is that the final tribal council was honestly kind of boring. I wish Colby was more aggressive.
True.
He didn't care.
I know. I wish he cared. It feels like it honestly does. It honestly does. It feels like he gave up.
But his challenge run was super fun to watch.
Awesome. But you go through that challenge run and then you decline to even make a closing statement. You deserve to lose.
I feel like as we say out
B. I would go with B.
I agree.
Yeah, it's got to be A or B. If you guys are both saying B, I won't even say mine because I'm leaning more toward A. But if I had to pick two, it'd be B between A and B. So it sounds
I'm
looking
into the future, and I'm thinking B. I'm gonna be honest. So
okay, all right, I'm cool with that. I mean, B is good. If every season of Survivor was a B, that would be okay.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be ideal. But it would be okay. Okay, Survivor Africa. This one's tough because this one I feel like when you take out the iconic status of it is going to dip more than any other season
I
because
I do agree. Yeah.
yeah, because I don't think it had as much characters as Borneo and Australian Outback. I don't know if it advanced the game like strategy. Like obviously there was twists. There was kind of like the anti-hero, the first like anti-hero.
The first tribe swap. I mean, that's
Mhm.
pretty
Tribe swap,
iconic.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
honestly, for me, the reason that Africa gets knocked down is especially towards the end. You can just see that they're gassed. Like the elements
they're
really got a
legitimately
hold of them.
dying out there.
Yeah, legit.
It's just
like,
hey, just
and you
go
know,
survive
we
in Africa.
yeah, exactly. And we interviewed T-Bird, you know, and like we told T-Bird straight to her face, we're like, you have endured the harshest conditions that any Survivor player has ever had to go through. Like you're literally drinking
Yeah.
from elephant crap, you know?
Well, that's the thing is like post merge, the most exciting thing that happened was when Lex freaked out because he got a rogue vote.
Yeah, yeah. And that was especially looking back on it now, you're like, well, it's come on, dude, it's one vote. Like chill.
That and Big Tom finding out he didn't have to share the what was
The
it
ham.
the bacon
Yeah, yeah.
the ham.
I gotta share ham with a Jew. That's what he
He's a
said.
Jew.
He's a Jew. Yeah. And that was an
Um,
okay moment, yeah.
With that being said, very deserving winner.
I agree.
The tribe swap was
Of course,
crazy.
they did botch the Final Four challenge. Never
True.
forget.
They did.
True. I'm leaning C or D if I had to pick two.
No.
I lean C.
C,
Okay.
yeah,
C. 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 C.
No,
Okay.
not.
We're not
Yeah.
putting it D. Dude, there's way more seasons to be a D.
I mean, here's the thing. I would also put it towards C. It's just I kind of like debating between two, like where it's gonna lie. But
Okay, yeah.
and I definitely don't think it's a B by any means. Raccoon clearly does.
Yeah,
but
it was a drop
It was a solid
off, but it wasn't
season.
like such a steep drop off as
Yeah.
we saw with 5.
right.
Yeah, I agree.
And Kim making it as far as she did was kind of like we didn't see her, and then it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
she's final.
She
3.
really did. She
Oh,
really did
won
come out of
final
nowhere.
immunity.
Yeah, she really
Yeah.
did come out of nowhere. That's the thing. Like they needed to develop that character more, but
Yeah. All right. We've reached it. Marquesas.
Gideon,
All right,
you
so
can start us off.
Thailand's.
all right.
Like,
Hear me out.
Gideon start first.
I think it's better than 5. Okay? I think it's better than 5. Of course, that's a given.
Wow.
Okay?
That's
I do think you have a deserving winner. I will give you that. I think Vecepia is a deserving winner. Okay?
Thank you, appreciate
She
that.
overcame a lot, and I agree, even though personally her game was boring to me. But hey, it is what it is. I just think oh gosh, like they got absolutely destroyed. Of course, it was great. It was great strategy, Vecepia getting Pascal and Kathy, and Nalia, is that her name? Nalia.
Yeah.
To overtake them. That was great as well. I just think, especially that group that got screwed over, so boring.
Like the Road to 4?
Yeah, the Road to 4 so boring to me.
Yeah, I mean, once John Carroll goes, the other 3, it's like, okay, I don't care about any of them. And it was pretty apparent what was about to happen.
I was very interested after the Road to 4 went. I will say that. But I was falling asleep through the beginning. After Boston Rob left. And
so you're saying from 9 to 6, 5, that's where it dragged for you.
I think it dragged for me there. I think you had great moments, especially one of my favorite Survivor moments of all time is in 4 with the radio show, the morning radio show.
Yeah.
So
Not only
honestly,
is the car crash like tribe, but like they provide all of the entertainment. For
Yeah,
the
of course.
because we're
I'm
with them the
honestly,
entire time.
I'm thinking C or D.
I'm thinking B or C, and I'm only saying C because I know I'm not going to get a B out of both of y'all. Just I'm just going from the beginning. You have crazy people like Peter, who only lasts one episode.
He is insane.
Holy Peter. And then you have Mama who leaves, and then you have the beginning of the Boston Rob flirt thing, the beginning of the Rob father, and then on the other side you have Rotu, who's just running away with it. And you have Kathy peeing on John.
That is a good moment. You're right.
And then you have the first time in 4 seasons that the people in the minority flipped the game on the majority, which had never happened before. It was just pagongings. And so you flip that. And yes, after John goes, and then you have Tammy and the general and Zoe all go, it's like, okay, yeah.
And they're so butthurt too.
Yes, but then you get to that final. We have the first rock draw, and we have Race Wars 1.0, where Pascal is saying a lot of crazy shit, and you have Vesepia, who everyone says she just voted with Sean the entire time. That's not true, because she was one of the people that voted up Boston Rob. She always made sure she was on the right side of the numbers. She always made sure that she was ahead of Sean and Rob in everyone's eyes. And then you get to that final 5, and that final 5 is one of the greatest tribal councils ever. And so is that final 4. Not as good, but Pascal falling is good because I don't like Pascal.
I did, however, like the moment with Sean and Pascal when they went on the reward, though. That was
amazing. Yeah. There are probably 2 to 3 episodes that are like, okay, I get it, but Marquesas is very underrated. And Vesepia is, in my opinion, besides like Danny Boatwright, the most underrated winner in the history of the show.
Yeah, I mean, the more I talk to Adam, the more I think it's underrated, to be honest with you, because Adam just beats it in my head. But I still think it's C.
I mean, it was our first comeback, because think Richard Hatch was dominant like the whole game. Tina, while she wasn't like Colby winning all the challenges or was this outspoken like godmother type figure, she was on the right. Like every time she wanted someone to go home, that's who went home every episode. Ethan, while he was like the reserved guy, he was in the majority alliance the whole time. Like he was a favorite. Him and Lex were like the 2 favorites to win the whole time. Vesepia was like our first like underdog comeback winner. And I'm not saying that like just because it's an underdog makes it automatically a good win, but it wasn't his case. And it's funny you mention it, Gideon, that it's slow during the like first chunk of post-merge action, because to me, that is what makes or breaks a Survivor season more than anything. Because that always, to me, seems to be like the slowest time in season is like the first 2 to 3 episodes post-merge. And I think like if you look at the one commonality between like all the great seasons, it's that it does not dip. If anything, it amplifies in action during that. But I will agree that it might dip a little bit in Marquesas during that span. To me, it's so on the cusp of B or C. So maybe we all need to just give it a letter and average out here. So what do you say, Gideon?
Okay, I would say C.
Well, geez, I should have went first. Gosh, this one's so tough because here's the thing. I think it's better than Australian Outback, which we gave a C. Or I think it's better than Africa, which we gave a C. I know you think it's better than Australian Outback, but I don't think it's better than Australian Outback. So it's like, can we give it like a C plus?
I agree. Like make it the benchmark. Fine, like do it. Because I agree. Like in terms of legacy, Africa's better, but it gets worse. I mean, but it gets better than Africa in terms of actual content.
Yeah.
So I would say C plus.
It's tough. I mean, I want to keep the ball rolling here.
You got to get it right.
Oh, gosh, it's tough.
It's y'all.
Can we come back to it?
It's y'all show. So let's.
Can we come back to it?
Can we just plop it in C and then move it later, if we want to? When we look at it as a whole, and we're like, you know what, Marquesas is above the other teams.
I think we should lock each one by the end of each individual episode. So like let's leave the door open to change if we need to. during each part, but like in part 2, we can't change any ones from part 1. So let's put I'm cool with putting Marquesas in C for now. Let's look at where we are when we do Palau and see
F.
what we get.
F.
I'm
Next.
cool with put.
Thailand. F. Next. Come on.
Let's each give one reason why Thailand's an F.
I will say, I thought
least one.
Ryan was very powerful, but dude, like I just can't like him that much.
That's what's so
And he was
weird.
literally-
Nice, man.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what's so weird is like every like bad season of Survivor also always seems to cap it off with the cherry on top being it also had a bad winner like Fabio in Nicaragua, so on and so forth. I would say Bob Crowley and Gabon. I know Gideon. That's going to be another one to get to be
No,
interesting one.
honestly, it probably won't. To be honest.
Okay. That's what's weird about Thailand. Like one of the worst seasons, but one of the most dominant winners.
Yeah, I mean, he's
with that being said, it's an
freaking
F.
powerful, but so many things, so many controversies, even controversial in a time where there wasn't a lot of controversy. You know, it's like that
Right.
was that like, golly, I don't even want to get into that, but
It was just a dark season. Like everyone seemed to hate each other. Like it just like literally it seemed dark. Like the challenges just seemed like they were way more intense than they needed to be and competitive.
Final immunity challenge.
The
My
way
God.
people just spoke about each other, like it's just it didn't seem like a.
that's the
I
thing.
think
Like
it's an F.
you're competing against each other, but you still get along most of the time. Like,
Well, and
holy
you
crap.
need those people. You need them.
Yeah, you need to have some sort of light.
Ryan only won by one vote. People always
to
forget.
play.
Yeah. So
And we interviewed Clay, but dude, he's the GOAT's GOAT.
yeah,
My
check
favorite
out
person that
the
season
Survivor
was
Buffs
Jan.
interview with Clay.
So like, usually my favorite player usually has like some depth, but there's just like, oh yeah, Jan's my favorite player because she's not Clay or Brian or Ted.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand Ted. I couldn't. Ted annoyed me.
So quick halfway point logo plug before we move on. Cool stuff. All right, moving on to
I look a bit different.
Survivor, the Amazon. Here's the thing. You guys have rewatched the Amazon sooner than I have. It's been years since I rewatched, so I personally don't have like the most in-depth knowledge of it. From what I remember, I would probably give Amazon a C rank. But I'll let you guys do most of the talking on the Amazon.
I'll go first because Drew's probably done it more recent than me. But from what I gathered from the Amazon, right, a great character in Rob.
Rob?
Yes. However, I can't really think of anybody else that I just really, really liked. I
enjoyed Jenna.
Not to mention, I didn't like the Jenna one, but I mean, I would prefer a win over Matt. But yeah, it is what it is. I would put it near D or C.
Whoa,
But
man,
I think it has a great character. I think there's a great character in Rob. What else is there though?
are we just asking? Oh yeah, we're saying we're just going.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
All right. So it's the first time they split up men and women. Okay. Now, obviously, through 2002, 2003 eyes, everyone's thinking, okay, well, the men are going to run away with this, including the men there.
Of course,
and
yeah.
then, the women win a couple challenges, and we have such things as, once again, dated, but, the scene in the woods with Jenna, Heidi, and Shauna while they're bathing. And then you have all narrated through, in my opinion, Rob Cesternino and Chris Doherty are the two people that grasped the idea of Survivor the best in the first 10 seasons. So your main narrator is also the best player,
Right.
in the season. So everything's being told from his eyes, which I feel that alone I'm not going to say it's like all-time great or anything, but like BC, especially because he flipping on people, which had never been done before, like a person that just continues to flip. And when Alex tells Rob, like, hey, when we make it to Final Four, probably going to vote you out. And Rob's like, well, no, fam, that's not going to happen. And, you know, that leads to a series of events. You have Christy, who I know some people like Christy, some people don't. I liked Christy for the most part. I know people are the same with Heidi and Jenna. And when you look back and the most famous scenes in the history of the first 10 seasons of Survivor, you have Snakes and Rats, you have Scooping in the Fire, you have maybe Kathy,
Dead Grandma,
and John, but you have get the girl some chocolate and peanut butter probes. Like, that is an all-time classic line, and it happened in the Amazon. They couldn't do that now, but
I like the moment where Rob like says that Matt's gonna kill somebody with the machete.
Why is he the machete so sharp? I think he's gonna kill us.
Well, see here. So here's my argument though: is almost every defense that you have for the Amazon was Rob. So if you take away,
it is the Rob show.
It's the Rob show.
Like, I like it.
It's funny because I don't know if I'll be on here for Samoa, but it's lower on my list because of it's the Russell show. But
right, not the Russell Hand show.
It's the Russell show.
That's a different channel.
That's a different, yeah.
Go subscribe to that if you haven't already. Okay, so you said BC, you said DC, and I said C. So C was in there for all of us. I feel like we're leaning C, but I would give it like a high C. Okay, I'm not talking the drink, but I'm giving it a high C.
I like high C as well, and I'll say why. Because, like, yeah, Drew made a good point. Like, Rob's one of the greatest narrators for a season, other than Chris and maybe Pinner. So, yeah.
Yep. I'm kind of just running through my head of, like, someone that was a good season narrator. You know, low-key one was Lucina in Game Changers. Was a good narrator.
She was.
Because I've never really thought of that. Oh, Fishback in Token Chains.
That could be a whole different freaking episode. I need to write that down. Greatest storytellers of Survivor.
Greatest narrators of the season. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the idea there, Drew.
I'll get started.
We'll have you back on for that one. Okay. All right. Okay. So we put Thailand F. Didn't really have to talk about it. Can we do the opposite with Pearl Islands?
Yeah.
S. To me, it's an S.
Okay.
S.
Okay.
S.
All right.
It's one of the greatest seasons of all time.
One of the few seasons that doesn't dip at all. I mean, no slow episodes at all. It picked a theme that was clearly meant to capitalize on like the pirate mania that was going on due to like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, amongst other pirate related things. Clearly they just wanted to capitalize on that, which sounds like a recipe for disaster and was the total opposite. Everything they did that season was like didn't they have like the sword immunity necklace that season? Yeah. The challenges, like the everything was just pirates. And then you had Rupert, who like was a pirate, all-time fan favorite. You had Fair Play, all-time great villain. You had Sandra, at this point, all-time great just Survivor player. Whether you like her or not, she was the first two-time winner. And her two wins were during two of the strongest casts ever. One of them being probably the strongest cast ever.
You can't take it away from her. I mean,
you
just can't.
And as far as characters, besides those guys, you haven't even brought up like Savage, who was like the sort of like the tribal leader.
It was Mr. America.
Yeah. You had Dara, who was kind of like the sweet like Southern belle. She didn't talk much, but I actually enjoyed Dara's time on the screen. You had Lil, who, even though I feel like no one was rooting for Lil, she was still a character, like the old Girl Scout who like was sticking, like a stick to what you know type person. You had Burton. You had the first time in Survivor history that people returned to the season in the middle of it. It's like,
And people
what
didn't hate it.
what
Us.
can yeah what can you say? It had a great start, like best in my opinion, best opening episode ever when they have to ransack the village. I still love when Rupert tells him to steal the shoes and he says why.
that
He
is
says
a great moment.
he says
I'm
why.
a pirate. Yeah,
He says
that's
why, and Rupert just goes, what does he say? He just goes pirates or something.
Yeah. He just goes pirate stuff.
Yeah, and Fair Play just goes, oh.
Yeah, he goes, oh, okay.
Barter Steel, I think was the name of the episode.
And then, of course, you have the single greatest moment in reality television history in that season. Of course, being Fair Play and Burton's reward challenge. No, of course, it was the dead grandma lie. Great players who didn't even get to their moment to shine because there was so many players. I actually think Tawana was a good survivor. I actually think Ryan Osprey was a good survivor, but there was just so many moments in that season. I mean, to me, it's my personal favorite season of the show. I put it above Heroes and Villains. I put it above Token Sheets. To me, it's the best season.
It's also the first quit.
It's also the first quit.
Yeah. Although, is that a plus or a minus?
Honestly, it's a place in history.
Yeah, well, the fact that Pearl, this is how you know that Pearl Islands is an S tier, because two things that people have historically, looked down on the show for are people quitting and people returning into the game. And you have someone coming back. You have two people coming back to the game, and you have someone quitting, and people still look at Pearl Islands as top 5 at least. So
yeah.
I hate it for Savage.
I've never seen it not in top 5.
I'm glad that Burton came back, man. I'm sorry. I'm glad.
Camp life, camp life was just always exciting to watch. You had Rupert screaming, "Who voted for me?" And you had Rupert fishing, and he gets mad because they lost the spear, and then he finds it and does his roar. It's just you had Sandra when she had to go into their camp and steal the tarp. It's just moment after moment after moment. Her argument with Fair Play, I can scream too.
I can get loud too. I can get loud too.
Screw John.
To me, it's so clear and us. I love moving on. I love All Stars. I think All Stars is one of those hated or loved seasons. Personally, I'd put All Stars in an A. I think it had one of the greatest casts. I think it had so many great moments. I think it had, believe it or not, I think it had a deserving winner.
I agree. That's the thing. Yeah, I agree. Jury management is a part of the game.
Yeah, I'll never knock a winner.
Rob made mistakes. He did. He made mistakes with how he treated people. You should pay for how you treat people.
Amber invented the buddy system. Don't at
me. You saying that it had a lot of classic moments, though, the moments that stick out to me, if we don't include those moments, everyone knows what I'm talking about. If we just look at moments on the show that you can sit there and not feel uncomfortable about, the only moment that really comes to mind is the merge and Lex, Rob, and Kathy having their argument, and then Rob giving his confessional where he's like, "Oh, yeah, you didn't think that I was really going to believe that? Come on, come on."
I think the Hatch blind side where he says I got bamboozled. I think that was a great moment. I
didn't like that the winners got absolutely thrashed, but
see, I like that. I think it made it clear that we were going to get a new winner. I didn't really want a repeat winner.
Fair enough. But
it also the people who see when you look at it now, it's oh, of course, Rob, Lex, of course. But when you look back at it, coming into that season, if you look at the people that America was they probably don't have a chance of winning. People were who's bossing Rob again? Oh, that's right. There was that cool guy from Marquesas. It was
honestly,
really Lex. I didn't think Lex would make it that far.
If
I
somebody
think
from
Amber.
Marquesas, I would go with Sean. It's a crime that Sean's never been back on the
Sean
show.
or John Carroll, yeah.
I will stand by that till the day I die. Sean should have came back for something, but
Absolutely.
Jenna. I mean, Jenna was like,
I didn't like
people
that
remember.
moment.
Jenna
People,
Lewis?
well,
Or Jenna Maraska?
Oh, Jenna Maraska. I thought you were talking about Jenna Maraska.
oh, I was talking about Jenna Lewis, but she
That
was someone who like
that was just impressive.
didn't make it super far in Borneo. I mean, she was kind of like she wasn't even like the sweetheart. She was kind of like the pretty girl of the season in Borneo. And then all of a sudden, she just like, whoa, like huge improvement in how she played the game. Like, in my opinion, one of the greatest like game 1 to second time playing improvements a player's ever had. I mean, she came into an all-star season with challenge beasts like Colby and Lex, and like strategy beasts like Lex or Boston Rob, or like fan favorites that clearly things were like potentially lined up to not get them voted out, like Rupert. Ethan also is like a low-key challenge beast, or at least was then, maybe not with this most recent season. And she beat them all. She did better than everybody except Rob and Amber. So I think there was twists and turns, and the tribe swap was great. And seeing, I don't know. I personally, I love All Stars. Like, it's one of my
it too, and I would also say A.
Wow. This is insane. I mean, you guys both said A, so I mean, my opinion does not matter.
What would you say?
I have it as a D. I think it's a D.
D.
Oh, yeah.
D.
Wow.
Come on.
I thought maybe you would say B. No. You're insane.
No, I don't know what the last time you guys watched All Stars was, but
I watched it very recently.
I watched it last year.
It's not fun.
See, I'm entertained by All Stars. Like it definitely.
Of course,
and I will say
I'm a Rob fan, so that makes sense.
I will say low A. Like it would like once we do like all 40 seasons and we have a couple in there at A, it'll probably be like the lowest of A's. But I definitely put it as like an A minus. But
yeah, 100%. I love All Stars. I'd say A.
But I mean, if I guess so. I mean, I guess if two people are saying a firm A, I mean, sorry, Drew.
No, it's y'all's show.
Look. I gave you grace on Marquesas. Give us grace.
You gave me grace on Marquesas. Okay.
Here's an interesting one because Vanuatu at the time it was aired was not a popular season. For
I love it.
Years it was not a popular season. Over the last year or two, it's become one of those like in the Survivor community as like, wow, that's actually a pretty good season with like a super deserving winner. If it was me, it would be B. I'm putting Vanuatu as B. I think it's the most underrated season of Survivor history. Great winner, best comeback in Survivor history, best underdog against the odds winner in Survivor history, with Giuseppe probably being like a second. But I don't think anything tops Doherty being outnumbered 6-1 by the Women's Alliance and beating them all. Does it have that many great moments? And does it get dull at times? Sort of. Is Chris, like Drew said, Chris is a great like narrator for the season, but
he just
it doesn't have that many characters.
Yeah, his grasp of the game is unbelievable. I'm jealous of it, honestly.
Like I would think B or C, but I'd probably think like a B minus.
I also agree with the B rating. I would before like we even started and I looked at it, I was like, I think Vanuatu's B. What about you, Drew?
Say B or C. So I mean, I'd go B. There's nothing, and yeah, it drags a few times, but like I did enjoy watching Chris come back and win.
Yeah,
a great final tribal as well.
I enjoyed Crazy Roar. Yeah, he had the greatest final tribal of all time until Todd came around. But I enjoyed Rory. He was funny.
I love Rory.
It's crazy, but Amy, Eliza,
yeah,
Twyla is a person that should have come back, but hasn't. Julie Berry. Yeah, it's a very enjoyable cast. It's a very, I mean, in my head, it's a good palate cleanser after All Stars, but in you guys' head, it's a steep drop off after.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think it's a great especially for a newbie season. There's a lot of interesting dynamics within the tribe that I like.
Yeah, if like I said, I think A is like the perfect example of what, or I'm sorry, if Borneo is like a perfect example of what an A season is, to me, Vanuatu is like a perfect example of what a B season looks like.
Okay, that's fair.
Um, Palau is tough because I want to. My initial thought is B, but like, is it as good as Australian Outback? And because I'm looking at C, and I feel like it maybe fits with the C's a little better. I mean, the Oolong tribe getting decimated was like, while sad, fun to watch. Seeing Stephanie alone is, I mean, I hate to say iconic, but without the fact that it's iconic, it was also just a great moment. And seeing her somewhat like start this comeback victory. You had the dominant winner, Tom. I actually loved watching Bobby John um, in that season.
In that season, yes, in that one,
He's very intense. He's very intense.
not the
See,
other one.
I like the intense players. I mean, I even liked I liked his rivalry with Jamie in Guatemala.
Jamie.
Did I like Bobby John specifically in Guatemala? But his rivalry with Bobby John was fun to watch.
It pissed me off, but that's another story.
I think it was the best. Well, here's the thing though. Is the final challenge that great or is it just iconic? Because
It's
I
just
don't know.
iconic. It's just.
I think it's just
it's just
iconic.
boring, isn't it? I mean,
So I would say I think I would even give it like a between. Saying it out loud for me, it's a C for sure.
yeah, I was
For me.
leaning. I was leaning C as well. How about you, Drew?
It's gonna say B, like a solid between. Yeah, I would say B. Yeah.
Between B and what? Were we B
I
and
was gonna
C?
say between B and A, but I mean.
Oh,
Not,
wow.
So what stands out to you about the season?
So I enjoyed watching. I was gonna say the rise and fall of Oolong, but it was more the fall of Oolong. I enjoyed I enjoyed James's confessionals. I enjoyed when it got down to Bobby John and Stephanie, and then Stephanie being able to join this other tribe and not be the first person voted out, and have, I think, Kobe went first and Janu went second at the merge.
Mhm.
And then watching Tom, who, I mean, up to that point, I would say Tom, as far as strategic, social, and physical, was the greatest player that ever played at that point.
Like all around player, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because everyone
agree.
liked him. The times that he didn't win immunity, he wasn't going home. And he was he was a challenge piece, and strategically he had his core group at the top. So, and there wasn't anyone overly inside the game, just what you're seeing on TV. There wasn't anyone that was overly hateable. It was just a fun cast. Everyone was likable. The challenges were fun. I think my favorite challenge that season is the balut, the eating challenge right before,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that was the last challenge before Bobby John had to go to tribal where they did fire and went home.
Hmm.
Yeah, I Plow is probably like number 20 on my list. So I would say B, but I understand C. I understand it.
Okay.
And I would put it on the higher end of C. Like I wouldn't say it's like the best C.
I love
Like
Tom.
yeah. What's funny that you say that, Drew, is that Tom was the best all around winner up until that point. I was trying to think of like who was second in the first 10 seasons. It might be Jenna.
What, just as far as challenge, outwit, outplay, outlast?
Either her or Ethan.
Uh, okay, so Lex won the most immunities that season. Jenna won the most immunities in her season. I want to say, I have my notes.
Wigglesworth won at Borneo.
Yeah, so it goes Wigglesworth, Colby, Lex, Vesepi, Brian. Oh, Brian. Brian is number 2. It's Brian Honeycutt's
Brian.
number 2.
Yeah, it would be Brian.
But does he have a social game? I thought he was one of the worst social game winners ever.
No, everyone loved him. Like everyone was trying to go to the end with him. Everyone.
Yeah,
that's
fair. That's fair.
Everyone.
But I still think Tom beats.
Yeah,
I still think Tom
him,
had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're looking for number 2, it's Brian.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still leaning Jenna, but Brian I think is for me a very close third to Jenna. But
all right.
Yeah, and then maybe Chris 4.
Yeah, Chris actually was dominant in challenges later on, especially.
Right.
Yeah, he won 3 immunities that season. So
here's what we got. Good balance. No D's yet. I feel like there's not going to be that many D's because D is like a bad season, and I feel like we're so inclined to just throw the bad seasons in F. But I feel like once we hit the 30s, we're going to get a lot of D's. I feel like the 30s is the D season, the D era.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like the 10s, we're going to have a lot. There might not be any 10s that aren't S, A, or B. Maybe Samoa.
Maybe Gabon.
Yeah, Gabon. Gabon and Samoa might be the 2. But Gideon's going to put Gabon high. So.
Yes, I am.
Okay. That's our first part. We're going to do this three more times. The next episode will stretch from Guatemala all the way up until Heroes versus Villains. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description right there at the top, so you can talk Survivor with us 3. Drew's in there too. Whenever you want. We'll wake up at 3 in the morning to talk Survivor with you if that's what you so desire.
Facts.
Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Check this out next Thursday. We got an interview with who's this Saturday? Is it it's Carl, right? Carl
the Godfather.
The Godfather, Carl, David versus Goliath. This Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be up. The next day, on Sunday, Drew's going to be hosting the first episode of Survivor Hot Takes. We'll be on there. We have an interview with Mama C next week on Saturday. So lots of Survivor stuff.
Yes.
Lots of Survivor stuff.
Yeah, guys, make sure you ring the bell as well. Ring the notification bell, please.
All right. Live long and prosper.